So how does a computer work? Let's talk a little bit about the components of the computer hardware that allow us to program a computer, and where variables get stored, and where do our programs get executed. Well, there's a number of places where the components are important for our understanding in terms of programming. In this collage, you can see we've got a computer case here. We've got our CPU, our processor, our keyboard is over here. We've got a motherboard which connects all of our components together, and over here we have a hard drive. If we were to open up a computer case of a desktop, not a laptop has all the same components of a desktop, but they're condensed and into a very small form factor. If you opened up a desktop computer, you'll notice, so this is the front on this side here, and then here we have the back where we've got the power supply. This is where the power plug goes. And on the front we have the disk drives. Attach this big thing in green in the middle, that's the motherboard. And at the top of the motherboard we can see we've got RAM. Towards the bottom of the motherboard we've got a video card, sound cards if we had any extra physics cards. We've got the processor here, the CPU. And at the very bottom of the case we can see a hard drive, but frequently those hard drives would actually be up here underneath the disk drive base. So the motherboard houses the computer components and connects them via what's called a bus. Not like the bus we use to get to school. These buses are small conductive filaments that line the motherboard to connect the components. The processor, also known as the CPU or central processing unit, executes program instructions. It performs arithmetic, runs loops, executes functions. The memory is a really important part of our computer. It stores data and program instructions while programs execute. So it doesn't store data when our computer is turned off. It only stores data while programs are executing. For example, such as variables and lists. Memory, or RAM, is known as volatile. Its contents are lost when the computer is turned off. Memory is one of the fastest ways and cheapest and easiest ways that you can speed up your computer, or at least it feels like you're speeding up your computer because you can do more with the same processor by having more memory. You can work more efficiently. The hard drive is actually what most people mean when they say memory. If you ever heard someone say, "Oh, I don't have enough memory to store this movie on my computer," what they really mean is I don't have enough hard drive space to store my movie. The hard drive is non-volatile. The contents persist and are saved even when the computer is turned off. And it stores data and programs when they're not running. So how do these components interact when we are programming and using our computer's hardware? So we, as the programmer, write a computer program. In this class, it'll be in Python. So this computer program gets stored on the hard drive. And then if we actually want to run this program, we're going to end up putting this program in memory or RAM. So if we're going to run the program, we're going to store it on RAM, and then it's going to actually execute each line on the CPU. If there's any output as a result of this, it goes to the RAM, and then it might get displayed to the end user on some kind of a monitor. All right, so we write our code in Python. It gets stored on the hard drive here. While it's running, Then it gets put into RAM, and then each line gets executed by the CPU, and the results get stored back in RAM or memory, and then any results or output are shown to the human